Anthony Melchiori, welcome to November. Great to see you, my friend.
Great to see you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday on Monday.
I'm Anthony, and welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, man, great to see you. You know, what I like about our new opening credits is you get to see a history of my hair in the last 8 months during this COVID period.
Yes, sir. Weekend.
Weekend was pretty good. We were chilling out. We brought in some good Chinese food this weekend. I made a couple of nice meals, and it was just nice to sit back and be with the family. I was surprised by how many kids came by my house for Halloween, and it was so great to see all the little ones out there and pretending like things were normal.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because I dressed up as Glenn Houseman, and a lot of people noticed me and stopped me and said, "You Glenn Houseman." Glenn Houseman with one S, not the guy from the podcast.
Oh, well, there you go. He was dressed as the famous Australian swimmer, apparently, not the infamous guy from Long Island.
What do we got going on today, Glenn?
Oh, a lot today going on. I'm really excited because we've got friend of the show, Sarah Dandashy, back to update us on what's going on in the hospitality business. And also, I'm very excited because there's this great competition focused on women in the hotel industry to help them be into getting a deal done. It's actually called She Has a Deal, and the winning team won $50,000 in deal equity. So we're going to talk to the organizer of the program and one of the winners as well.
50,000 G's in equity. Wow. How do I get that?
I know. I think that's a great idea. Well, we gotta come up with a new contest. Anthony's got a deal. Hopefully that'll happen. All right.
Well, actually, that's kind of funny. we're working on it now,
or Anthony's relationship with me. He's got a deal.
Just deal with it. About this business is you pitch one show and it comes out a completely different show, but you're like, yeah, that's a good show too. So yeah, we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, so let's get our friend Sarah on.
All right, let's bring on Sarah. Sarah Dandashy, welcome back to the show. We love having you here every single month. Great to see you, our friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
It's been a month already?
Ish?
I
mean, who's counting? Are you counting?
So tell us what's going on in travel, my friend.
Okay, great. So a lot of interesting things. Big news actually on Friday. So the CDC actually just announced that they are going to let U.S. cruise ships resume sailing, but they are asking for caution. Now, for those that have been following along, it's been like, are we cruising? Are we not cruising? Are we cruising? Are we not cruising? Now, back in March, the CDC issued a no sail policy, and that was basically up until the end of October. And as we were approaching that end of October deadline, there was a lot of back and forth. Are we going to do this? Are we not? And I know a lot of us have been focused on hotels. Certainly, we know the airlines, but the cruise industry is also very important as well, too. So they have finally kind of conceded, you could almost say, to saying, okay, cruise ships can start to sail again, but there are precautions and they are requiring new protocols. So it is pretty interesting that they're going to be doing that. And to give you an idea, Canada, for example, in a similar situation was like, nope, we're not going to do that. And they've actually barred their sailing until the end of February. So definitely interesting stuff that's happening in the world of cruising.
Yeah, do you know if any of the major cruise lines are actually going to start to set sail? Because I've been hearing about this, that it was going to expire, but I haven't heard any major announcements from cruises that leave from United States ports.
So here's the thing. Right now, they were basically pushing back everything. And now with all the new requirements, they pretty much have to start at, kind of ground zero, in essence, to make sure that they are adhering to all the protocols. So naturally, since that news came through on Friday, the cruise lines weren't able to be like, okay, great, we're going to go December 1st. So I would expect that probably within the next 2 weeks or so, they'll probably start making announcements based on that accordingly. But I also think in the next 2 weeks, we're going to hear a lot of things.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of caution for the cruise ships to go out. Even when they go out, I think they'll overdo it. Hopefully they'll take the CDC guidelines and then they'll triple that and really be safe. And, they have one shot at this because unfortunately the cruise ships got really maligned and they shouldn't have. It's not fair. So they really need to come out of this the right way. So what's number 2, my friend Sarah?
Okay, number 2. So obviously for those of us that have been looking at the whole world of flying, and do we block the middle seat? Do we not block the middle seat? And a lot of airlines took big stances on that. Most notably, we had American and United that were not blocking middle seats. But big news is that 2 weeks ago, Southwest announced that they are going to open up so that basically all of their seats can be purchased. So even though you don't necessarily have your seats pre-booked because they are opening up all of their flights, you can do that. But going on with that, now JetBlue just announced that starting December 1st, it's going to phase out its policy of blocking middle seats as well too. So again, it's really interesting that they're kind of coming out of this right now, all things considered. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, they're just really trying to get more people on the planes.
Right. And I think with that valuation that just came out, that said basically 99.999% chance of getting, you won't get COVID on a plane if you're wearing a mask. No flight attendants have gotten COVID on flight. So maybe using that as a good excuse to do that. I can understand where they're coming from. I still will not fly near somebody in the middle seat. But I understand, listen, we got to get back to traveling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I understand, what they're doing as far as, fiscally, but it is interesting because a lot of it is just, it's like, what's the message that it's sending? And we still have, Delta, for example, they're staying true to that. They had it, I think, until like January 6th, and they're still staying with that. So it will be really interesting, especially over the next couple of weeks, as we are seeing, in Europe, numbers are rising, as well as in the United States. So it's curious that these decisions are being made now, and it'll be interesting whether any changes happen or if we just continue moving up.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get this under control and people travel. That's, if it's showing that you can't really get sick on a flight, I understand their rationale.
Yeah.
So really, if you have somebody over your house, they should have had a COVID test before you have, whether it be a family Thanksgiving or Christmas. Everyone's going to be tested before they come in for Thanksgiving. We're only having a few people. But what they're saying is basically coming into your home is more of a problem than flying on an airplane or going in a hotel room.
Oh, totally, totally. And it's, we are seeing people are making the appropriate protocols, and they are, I think we've kind of talked about this even, right? You share the same sentiment. It may not actually be the act of traveling, but it's like you have to be a smart traveler. And that's what it is, because all of these businesses, whether it's airlines, hotels, everybody's stepped up to the plate. Now the onus is on the traveler to just do the smart thing. And I mean, that's kind of where we are right now, is how can we be more responsible citizens, global citizens?
Number 3, Sarah, are you a responsible citizen, you?
Right.
Next topic. You want me to?
Yeah, let's talk about the next topic.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, right. So this is actually interesting, and I'm sure that you guys have a lot to say about this. New York State just came out, and this was over the weekend.
Yep.
Not traditionally, what it had been is that they were requiring individuals that were traveling to New York State to quarantine for 14 days. And now they've changed it that if you are traveling to New York State, that you will have to have a COVID test first. Then you would only have to quarantine. If it's negative, then you only have to quarantine for 4 days and then get another COVID test. So I think this is really interesting, because obviously we had been looking at this more so for international travel, but this is really taking a start in that direction within the United States. And I'm curious to see what other states follow suit.
Well, what they did was they basically blocked almost every single state in the country coming from New York City. So nobody can come in. And I was frustrated with that. So what I did was, when I traveled, is I got a COVID test where I was. I came home. I stayed home. I actually got a rapid COVID test as soon as I got home, and then I took another rapid COVID test 4 days later. So I didn't want to stay home for 2 weeks. So I had 3 tests within a week, and I stayed home basically anyway. I just went to the store. So I think that that's a better way.
Yeah.
You're on a business trip, and it's really 3 days. On the 3rd day, you get tested. On the 4th day, hopefully you'll find out your test. So it's really 4 days. And if you're doing business in New York City, say you're with a client, okay? So you're maybe, you're in that business meeting and you're in your hotel room. Is that considered kind of quarantining? I don't know. Because if you got a test before you get on a plane and then you come and have a quick business meeting, I don't know. I think people, unless it's really, really mandated and there's really a lot of policies. There were no policies when I came back from Vegas. And no one tested my temperature. No one asked me to fill out paperwork. There was nothing. So this will be toothless unless they do something about it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I mean, I was even thinking about a couple months ago when I had flown to Pennsylvania, they were obviously suggesting, oh, you need to quarantine, but it's like I got off the plane and okay, and then what? There were, it's strictly the honor policy. So it's like, that's where I think a lot of this is just really, again, curious, again, great.
And I really think it should, like, in some way, it should be the honor policy. I got tested 3 times. I wasn't going to go see anybody until I was tested. So I don't know how they control it, but Glenn,
well, also, I would say that there's also a problem with the veracity of the testing, in particular, these rapid tests. I still haven't seen any proof that they're going to be nearly 100% accurate. So it's good, I think, that the state is trying to put in measures to get us back to business, to get people traveling again. But I do think that there is some concern, going forward about this. I got fingers crossed that the testing will get better over time, and that hopefully we won't need it. But I got to tell you, it gives me a little bit of a pause to want to leave the state and come back. Now, we are going next week down to the Washington, D.C. and Baltimore area to do 3 shows back to back to back. I'm not going to let it stop me, but it did make me have to think a little bit before I decided to go, until I realized, maybe this is better than if I had to come home and on the honor system, stay home for 2 weeks.
And you know what? Listen, any one of us can get sick, even being safe. I went to Atlantic City the other day, and I didn't take my mask off the entire time I was there, and I didn't stay near anyone. I didn't eat indoors. I didn't even really. I had a little water indoors, but I spent my time, with my mask on anytime I was indoors. And it's just, again, it's when people are inviting you into their homes, like, hey, come over and watch the game. I'm not ready for that yet. Right. So it's to each his own, but hopefully we can take care of ourselves and take care of each other. What's number 4, Sarah? Is there a number 4?
Wow, number 4?
Whoa, there is a number 4. There is a number 4. So this is actually, it has to do with Wyndham. So pretty interesting, because obviously we have all been looking at numbers pretty much across the board, and they have not been very positive, to say the least. That's just putting it very diplomatically. But Wyndham, I heard that laugh.
Very good at that today.
Yeah, I am kind of, except before we went live. Anyway, so Wyndham actually achieved a pandemic rarity, and they actually had some profitability, which is very interesting, because what we're kind of seeing is that they've been sort of this like comeback kid in the middle of all of this. And they actually posted that they had 24 million in a 3rd quarter profit. So now that's not to say that, like, don't mistake this profitability for actually being like, okay, we're over things, but it definitely goes to show where people are tending to travel, or like as far as like what type of hotels, and those sort of like mid-range, those mid-scale hotels, some of them, and especially their locations, really play a big role into how well they can do, all things considered. So
right. And when you're looking at Wyndham hotels, we're looking at a lot of those roadside hotels that are well positioned in this particular period of time. Plus, they don't have a lot of those big box hotels that are in major cities. Yeah,
exactly. So it's interesting. It's good to see that it's, again, across the board. It's like not everybody's doing the same. It's definitely very lopsided at times. It's but it is nice to see that there is some sort of profit being made, at least to hold things afloat. Really, I think at the end of the day, we're not looking for record-breaking, profits, but we are looking to stay afloat. And really, that's
I think at this point, everybody's just holding on. And
100%.
Everybody's it's like a storm, and everybody's just holding on to the pole and go, you get a little air and go, all right, take another air, and that's where we are. So, anything else, my friend Sarah?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Actually, this is kind of interesting as well, too. I'm obviously good friends with the team over at Marriott, and, they've kind of tossed their hat into the ring, as we've seen a lot of these big hotel brands and chains that are like, okay, you can work and play from anywhere, basically responding to so many people now working and learning from home. So Marriott just launched a new campaign, the Work Anywhere with Marriott Bonvoy, which is a day pass, stay pass, and play pass. And I think kind of like the most notable is the day pass, because it's kind of like you can check in at 6 a.m. and then you check out at 6 p.m. And it's interesting because I mean, even in years leading up to now, we were seeing these hotels kind of try to tap into the sort of day pass crowd. How can they bring people in during the day, whether it's to utilize their bar areas or the facilities in that regard? We're not saying that we're doing that now, but they're actually giving people a place to work, that if they need to get out of their homes, they've got a place. They can have a secluded sort of like working environment, great Wi-Fi and all of that. And then the Play Pass is also for more extended stays. So that's really good, because we are seeing a trend for that, is that people, especially without maybe traditional work hours or having to come and clock in, or without maybe kids having to go to school, depending on where you are, people can have more of these extended stays. And so they are giving these additional options. And, I think it's a great thing that they're doing.
You have a plethora of information this morning. I was actually asked about the Marriott thing over the weekend from my PR company, because I guess they got a hit from somebody wanted to put on it. So yeah, I think that's great, and I think the longer this goes, I think more people are going to use that.
Yeah, definitely.
100%. I know I might start using it.
I'm sure you have a busy household of a lot of women, and
I do.
they tend to talk. So yes, that's the world.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right, Sarah, thank you so much for being here. We love getting all the news from you.
Of course.
Where can we find you? Tell people about your website.
Oh, we're going to talk about all that. Okay, cool. So yeah, for those of you guys that are listening, you can find me. My website is askaconcierge.tv, but I'm also all over social media as Ask a Concierge, or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Sarah Dandashy. So that's where you can find me.
And how about your podcast?
How about my podcast? Oh man, Anthony, you're on it this morning.
Find your podcast.
I do have a podcast. It's called Say Yes to Travel, which it's so interesting because obviously at the beginning of the year was very much, we want to say yes to travel. And it had a very different sentiment, just sort of encouraging everybody, to continue traveling and all the benefits of it. And now it's morphed a bit because we're still saying yes to travel, but it's kind of like holding on to that, sort of the industry in a little bit of a different way. So yes, you can search that on iTunes or Spotify. Say Yes to Travel.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Likewise. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon enough. Take care. Have a great day.
I love you to death. What's going on with your face, bro?
My lighting is acting weird, and I've got a console that goes through my Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And it's become unresponsive. It's very frustrating, but I want to do this because everyone's got to get out there and vote tomorrow. Plus, I like the B-52, so this is Rock Lobster the vote. So look at me, think pink, go and vote. That's what I'm saying out there.
Vote. Most people voted already. I mean, I voted.
Dude, it's amazing to see that there's been a record number of people voting early, more than we've ever seen before. I know I cleared my whole calendar for tomorrow afternoon, so as soon as we're off air tomorrow, I'm going to go there and make my voice heard too, and I hope everyone out there does the same.
Standing in line for a little while though tomorrow, no?
What's that?
You're going to be standing in line for a little bit tomorrow.
Well, I figure there's so many people that have voted already. Perhaps I will have a chance to go ahead. I
waited for a thunderstorm. And as soon as the thunderstorm happened, I put my rain jacket on. I got my umbrella, and there was only 6 people in line. I was like, yes.
Lucky you. Very smart guy. Also really smart. This great competition. She Has a Deal, an annual hotel investment pitch competition for early career women. And they've announced their winners, and we've got them on the air today, as well as the person who put it together, Miss Tracy Prigmore. What do you say? Should you bring her in?
Let's go, my brother.
Let's do it. All right, Tracy. Welcome to the show. We will unmute Tracy. Don't you worry. Tracy, you got to unmute yourself. You have muted yourself. We want you to be heard. Hey, there you go.
Ari, yeah, good morning. How are you
Hey,
guys?
Tracy, thank you so much for being here. I got to tell you, I didn't know about this competition until my good industry buddy and PR pro, Chris Daly, brought it to my attention. And I got to tell you, I wish I had known about this earlier. What an incredible concept to give these early career women an opportunity to get in the investment side of the business, something that has been so needed for. So congratulations on putting this together.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been my pleasure. It's been a lot of fun to see these young women who have so much intellectual capability at such a young age. And so we were super excited to finally get together as we started this competition last December. On the 19th is when the women started educating themselves, or actually we started educating them with master classes, and we were supposed to have the finals in April. But of course, our dear COVID friend stepped in, and we had to postpone it. And we finally had a chance to get together in last Saturday at the Hilton Innovation Gallery to have the finals.
That's
excellent. Anthony, you know, there are 17 teams that participated and 5 were selected to move on towards the finals. How cool is that?
Yeah, so we did start out with 17 teams, 33 women that started out in the competition. And in March, we did prelims and narrowed it down to 5 finalists. So the picture you see there are the finalists and a couple others who joined us for the live competition that participated in the prelims.
So for those people that don't know about the competition or where how you found the teams that competed and a little bit about your background, why don't you inform us?
Sure. So actually, I grew up in the healthcare industry, and I was a real estate investor on the side.
Cool.
Loved investing in real estate. And when I decided I wanted to invest in commercial real estate, I was looking for an asset class that I could get excited about. At the time, I was traveling extensively with my job, did a number of about 300 room nights a year as I was traveling across the country visiting different healthcare systems. So I practically lived in hotels and had an affinity for hotels. So when I wanted to choose a commercial asset class, when I found out that hotels were an option, of course, I automatically gravitated to hotels and began my journey to hotel ownership by educating myself about it. I found that it was very challenging to break into the field, particularly as a woman and a woman of color. To get into a field like this, you really do need a lot of information, access to mentorship and sponsors to guide you along the way, help you with one of the biggest challenges with this, which is access to capital. And so when I finally broke into the field, I decided when I saw that there weren't a lot of women, mostly males in the industry, and it was really hard to make those connections with the males, to find a mentor,
right,
that I would do something about that. And that's when I came up with the idea based on a number of conversations with a couple of the brands, Hilton and Marriott, who are our founding sponsors, talking with them and talking with other women who had approached me about their interest in becoming hotel owners and how challenging it was. So the women would tell me, okay, I went to this conference, I went to that conference and listened to these panels, but I still am not sure how to become a hotel owner or what are the next steps. And so as I listened to those women and had a number of lunches and dinners and phone calls, I really put my finger on what was the challenge and just set out to change that by creating the opportunity. Number one, I wanted to inspire and expose these women to the fact that you could become an owner. Many people didn't even think of it as an option, including myself, who worked in a hotel in college and never thought about ownership, even though I interacted every single day with the owners who lived in the hotel. I never thought of hotel ownership as something that would be accessible to myself. And then secondly, we wanted to provide the education. So we needed to provide them with the tools that they needed and the knowledge that they needed. So we created these master classes along a 9-stage hotel investment roadmap that I personally created for my firm.
Cool.
And I'm an ex-consultant, and so everything that we do has to be a framework or a methodology. So I created the 9-stage investment process to help me understand and stay on track and be effective and efficient with the process. So we teach them along the 9-stage hotel investment roadmap. And the beauty of it is that what we do is we actually, we bring in luminaries. So those are experts in the field. And those experts help to provide them with the education and the knowledge and wisdom that they need to be successful.
Wow, I got to tell you, it's really cool. Even if you don't participate in the contest, just to get that 12 hours of intensive hotel investment education where you're learning to source, evaluate, and raise capital for hotel deals is something I think that is so invaluable to these women. The winners aside, how did people respond to that particular program, and what did they feel that they got out of it on that educational basis, contest aside?
Yeah, we had a lot of excellent feedback from the women that participated, that they would have, never thought about the opportunity to become an owner. They were planning to work for brands, they were planning to work for owners, but never thought and saw themselves as an owner. And so when I look at where they started, December 19th of 2019, and the way they were pitching last Saturday, it was incredible to see the transformation and the knowledge that they had gained. So I do believe that all of the women, whether they made it to the finals or not, felt that there was a lot of value that they could carry with them, even if they decided that ownership was not for them or is not for them, that they could still leverage that knowledge in any position in hospitality that they, that they sought.
And I think one of the things I found in my career that's really lacking is people don't understand how to be an owner. They don't understand how difficult it is to get capital. They don't understand the owner process. They don't understand the asset manager process. They don't understand how just difficult it is to get your hands on money. And when they do, how hard it is to ensure the profitability of that hotel so they can pay their loans back. So I think it gives operation people a real good insight. So when their owner or their asset manager or the general manager asks them a question, they truly understand what the process is.
Right. And I found that challenging as an owner myself. I found it challenging that we use third-party management, of course, being a new entrant to the field. I have definitely had to focus on using third-party managers. And I found that even the general managers that run and operate the hotels were lacking, or they are lacking sometimes, that knowledge of what's important to the owner and what's different. And I can relate in a sense of, I operated hospitals, and I always gave 110% to my job and was very dedicated. But the difference was when you are an owner and you are financially and fiscally embedded in the outcomes, you make totally different decisions, and your outlook is different. And so as much as I worked very hard as an employee for the health systems I work for and went every extra yard, it really is a whole different level when you're the owner and it's your capital that you're working with. So meeting budgets, what's the worst that could happen to you at a job? You get fired. But when you're the owner, there's so much more downside and risk that you take on. And so you really want a team that understands, the investment side of the business.
I remember when I was in the hotel business, I was at the Millennium, which is now the Broadway, which is now, it was Macklowe, now it's the Millennium. And someone called me and said, "Hey, we have this bakery for you to run." And I was like, "Why would I run a bakery?" He said, "Well, you used to run a bakery." I said, "No, I used to sweep the floor in Dunkin' Donuts." He goes, "Close enough." So anyway, I got the job to turn around the bakery.
They did bake the donuts at the Dunkin' Donuts back then.
Right. And the bakery was called H.A. Ponus. H.A. Ponus is now the largest artisan bread company in the world. So turns around, they got financing. I had left the company. But the first week I was there, they were having serious financial problems. I knew that. And a gentleman who owned it, his name was Dr. Santo, legendary restaurateur. And he literally had 2 brown paper bags. And he goes, "Which one?" And I go, "Which one what?" He goes, "Which one do I pay?" And I go, "That one." Thank God that was the payroll. Yeah, I picked the right one. So we paid the payroll that week. If I picked the other one, we would have paid the other bag, which was accounts payable. So that was the first moment I realized, when I worked at the Plaza and other hotels, I would get a check at the end of the week. I didn't know how that all worked. I just knew I got a check. As soon as he said which one, I was like, that changed my entire theory on ownership and managing, and you have to be very, very efficient. And I wouldn't say that general managers have a completely different way of making decisions. I would just say they don't know what they don't know. But once they have some information and they're directed, then they make probably somewhat the same decision, but with a little different spin and with a little different understanding. I know once I got on the asset management side with Tishman, oh my God, did I learn so much. So I made a lot of the same decisions, but I think I understood my decisions better.
Right. Yeah, I think it is. I think you're right. It's about understanding. And I don't know how they're taught or educated or trained, but yes, you have to give them insight to the bottom line. So generally with the management companies, they manage to GOP, which is important, but I have a new management company where they manage to cash flow, regardless of their ability to impact, those remaining lines. I do believe that although it's not in their total control, they can affect or have an impact on those other expenses.
Wait, did you hire a management company and then change the management company out?
I've cycled through some management companies.
I was like, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be an owner. No, you need a real good management company. I know a guy.
Yeah. We know a couple. One in particular that's on weekly.
No, so coming into it, right? I had a lot of ops experience on the healthcare side, and there's a lot of similarities. Okay, there are many similarities, and there are a lot of differences. But when it comes to operations is operations. You understand what drives particular efficiencies and has impact on the guest experience or the customer experience, and then you work around those. But I'm always constantly looking for efficiencies and ways to save and be innovative. I used to do a lot of operations improvements, and so I have an eye for looking at certain things, and I know what happens a lot of times in organizations is that, you just keep doing the same thing over and over, and no one really understands why you're doing it. And when the universe changes, the environment changes, you may still be doing the same old task, right, and they're not necessary, or, they don't add to the customer experience. So you have to be constantly looking at that, and you've got to have your people understanding the whole entire process, not just what they do. They need to understand how what they do contributes to the whole, as a whole, the bottom line. But many times I know in the hotel environment, even in healthcare, the people who are actually on the front lines that are really driving business and outcomes don't even know what or how right. valuable they are and what they do. And so we're trying to change that. One of our hotels, we've been working with a smaller company, and we've been working on, even in COVID, we've increased housekeeping salaries and front desk salaries. And, and we really, we changed the GM structure and salary too. So it's going to be interesting to see over the next several months if we see a better outcome, because for me personally, I was always disappointed in the level of cleanliness in hotels. I thought that coming into it, I was astounded, because in healthcare, cleanliness is not an option. And we also have other factors that we say are never events. And right. so for hospitality, for me, a clean room is not optional. And there's certain things that a guest should never see when they walk into a room. I call those never events. And I know I drive my management companies crazy, right. but when I read a review and someone says, oh, there were dirty towels on the floor in my room, I'm like, how is that possible? How is that ever possible that there's anything dirty in the room? There should be systems in place, right. that prevent that from happening. And I know, Anthony, I've watched your show, so I know.
Well, Tracy, you're the worst kind of owner. You know what you're doing.
So, Tracy, let's bring it back to the competition.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
curious as to what types of projects were proposed. How did it work? Was it based in reality? Because a lot of these competitions are all hypothetical, but if you're putting in $50,000 in deal equity, they've got to be pegged in something real. So how does all of that work, if you could take us through it?
That's a very good question, Glenn. So when I started the competition, when I put pen to paper, my vision, I could clearly see what would be helpful to the next generation of women hotel owners and developers. And so I thought, because they're young, that we would just come up with 4 deals and then, give them the deals, and whoever pitched the best deal would win. Like, we would still teach them and everything, and just whoever did it the best and understood it the best would win. But I have a group, we call ourselves the Shad Squad, and I have some millennial members, and they insisted that these women go out and find their own deal. They thought that was really the biggest educational process, was the women finding their own deal. So, stage 1 is sourcing the deal. And so we brought some industry brokers in, and we gave them resources and educated them on how to source a deal. And they went out and found their own deals. And so I personally was astounded. I thought most of them might find a deal to acquire, pip it out, some kind of upgrade, make some operational improvements. But no, these women were fabulous. They went out and found ground up developments. They found adaptive reuse. They found brand repositions, dual branded opportunities. So we had the whole gamut, and these were and are real deals.
So there's actually stuff happening in the market, and they go ahead and they pitch it as one of the players in the real world stakes of, will they get this deal or will they not get this deal? Right? Correct.
And there is a didactic component here. So it's real world, but it's also an alignment with didactic, because they didn't go out and, take control of the deal, right? They couldn't do that. We were blessed to have real data from Calibri Labs and Hot Stats. They were our sponsors who provided the women with the data. Wonderful. So they have the real data, the real information. However, they didn't put the deals under contract. But it is my goal to actually get deals done. So we plan to hopefully get one of the 5 deals acquired or accomplished over the next several months. Now, we know that there's a possibility that the seller may not want to sell it to us, or we might not come to a meeting of the mind on the cost for that deal. So as an example, we had one deal pitched that we really like. We put an offer in last week. There's a big spread between what the seller thinks it's worth and what we believe is it's worth, and the feasibility of the deal. The hotel is currently closed. And, based on even 2019 numbers, we believe the seller is asking above what would make it a feasible deal. We've met on the winning team's deal last week. We've got an action plan. We really like that deal. And then we also like the second place team's deal, which is a ground up development. And we know even in regular times, a ground up development can be challenging. But we are looking at that with the landowner. And we're going to see if perhaps we can get any of the deals done. But our competition is not just about educating and exposing. We are about real deal making and elevating women in the space and showing that, we women have what it takes to get the deals done. We just have to overcome whatever particular barriers have been in the way. And the reason why there are not more women as hotel owners and developers today in our industry, and then other industries as well, right? So we know that women are capable and knowledgeable to get it done. We just need access. And that's what we're working on, is getting access. And so if you look at, what we say as far as our mission, it's creating new pathways to hotel ownership and development for women, because we may not be doing it the same way that it's been done in the past. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what all of the barriers or the reasons why there are not more women, but what we know is that there are women who are capable and women who want to be hotel owners and developers, and that the industry can use the insight of women and the innovation and ideas that we bring to the table. We just need the opportunity.
So first of all, it's an amazing program, and I wanted to bring Howard Smith back up. What an impressive program! Congrats, Tracy. Howard is a friend of mine, and he worked with me at Nickelodeon, or I worked with him at Nickelodeon, and he's working on a lot of different projects. So maybe you guys could hook up. So give me your cell number. I'm going to hook you guys up because he runs a company that has major amusement parks and hotels all over the world. So probably a good connection. But Howard, good to see you up there, and hope that you and I have a drink soon. So. Yeah. Who's the winner?
All right, so let's get this going. The winning team, we only have one representative from it. The grand prize winning team was called Datcher. They're made up of Cornell University Baker Program in Real Estate graduates, and their names are Joanne Angbazo, Lyra Covington, and Kristen Collins, who is here with us today. Let's give a warm welcome to Kristen and congratulate her. Kristen, yay! How awesome for you and your team. I am so super excited for you. This is so wonderful to see you doing this. How are you feeling right about now?
It hasn't really, I don't think, sunk in yet. When we had our meeting with Tracy and the rest of the team this past Friday, I think we were all just a little in shock that we had actually won. For one, and then secondly, that we're actually going to be moving forward with our idea that we pitched. So definitely just excited and anxious.
What were the important things that you've learned or you're learning at Cornell to help you with this program, that help you win this? Is there anything that you're learning in class that really translated to this competition?
Sure. I think the biggest part of the program, or at least the most difficult, was definitely the finance component. And our Baker program in real estate really focuses a lot on the finance end. And so we were able to take some of the skills that we learned from our finance classes, combined with the 9-step process that the She Has a Deal competition provided us. And, between the two and our coaches, we were able to come up with a good financial analysis. But that definitely was the most challenging portion of the competition for us.
So you folks put in your competition bid was for an 80-room adaptive reuse project located in Detroit, Michigan. The boutique hotel would come from an old bank building and feature health and wellness services offerings inside the bank's vault. What attracted you to that particular building? How did this come together with you and your team where you said, this is where we are going to put our money on to be the winning bet?
Sure. So back in last December, our team, we kind of just got together. We each focused on a different city and just came together amongst ourselves to just pitch to each other, what city or what project or what piece of land we thought would be viable for this competition. And my teammate, Joanne, she actually ended up coming up with Detroit and found the site. And we ended up, when we pitched to each other, we decided on that one. And then funny enough, I'm actually from Detroit. But I think the best part about that is that I didn't necessarily have to, sell them on Detroit. Joanne sold me on it and sold our other teammate Lyra on it. And we just went forward from there. But I think overall, Detroit has a really great history, a really rich culture with the arts and the music and just the community that's there. And so we're definitely trying to tap into each one of those areas within our deal.
And a city on the comeback. It's really made great strides in just the last 5 years in particular. Anthony?
Can I guess the price of the hotel? I'll put it in private chat. Okay, I put it.
He put it in. He put it in.
You say if I was close or not close?
Close-ish, I guess.
All right.
Close-ish. So you were within $50 million is my guess on that one. Kristen, I love that 12-hour class that we were talking about. What are some of the observations that you took away from that class that really empowered you to become the winners of this competition?
Sure. You're referring to the class that...
Yeah, you did the 12 hours of training before it all got started, right?
Sure. I think the best part of that program or that 12-hour class was definitely having the combined with the lesson and then having real world industry leaders actually come in to pitch that part of it. And so, even within our Baker program in real estate, we would have guest speakers. And I think that's usually the most valuable part is being able to have that real world experience leader come in and not only teach you about it, but then teach it in a way that is applicable to what they're going through each and every day in the industry as well.
Right. Yeah. So what do you do now? Are you guys going to go try to close this deal, Tracy? Is it even still on the table because of this delay? Maybe you could get a better deal on it now because of COVID. How's that all that? How do you see this going forward?
Well, one thing I want to point out, because of COVID, this became an extended particular program.
Right.
And so Kristen and her team, they had to go back and redo their initial pitch based on COVID. So they submitted their pitch deck on March 15th, I think, 14th, right before things shut down.
Yeah.
So they did still pitch their original deal. Some of them threw in a few things about COVID, because the prelims started on the 23rd of March and went through the 25th. So we had 3 days back to back of preliminary pitches. So once we chose the finalists, we explained to them that they would need to update their pitches. And a couple of teams chose new particular projects based on their project not being viable given what had happened with COVID. So our plan, yes, is we like their deal. We think there's some legs to it, and we're gonna go out. We created an action plan last Friday, and hopefully it will be available and we'll be able to put the deal together. We are realistic with COVID times that there may be some challenges,
of course,
moving forward, but we're willing to give it a try. And if not this deal, we have others we'll look at. But the bottom line is that we wanted to create new pathways to ownership, and Kristen and her team will be owners, if not their deal, or one of the deals that She Has a Deal does as a group of women-led hotel projects.
Well,
that's
I have
absolutely amazing. Anthony?
I have a question, the same question for both of you. First of all, when you do get the hotel deal, you make sure I'm there, because I want to have a glass of champagne with you.
Okay.
And if you're old enough. And Kristen and Tracy, Kristen first. What did you learn through this process that maybe you weren't expecting to learn? And Tracy, the same thing for you. What did you learn? Because when you went in, you were trying to help it. I'm sure that you gained something that you've learned that you weren't expecting. So, Kristen?
Yeah, I think the biggest component for us, besides the financial piece, was just the hotel operations side that we really had to dig into, to not only be able to put into our financial analysis, but also just the general programming of a hotel. I mean, even though our real estate program is hosted in the hotel school, that's not the asset class that any of my teammates really wanted to focus on, but that we focused on in class. And so just changing our mindset to focus on hotels and how they're run was definitely the hardest part.
Come on, Kristen, you guys from Cornell, you're finance people. We know you like the finance part of it, and you need to clean the rooms for me. I understand. Tracy?
Yeah, for me, it was really that the younger generation, it's weird to say that because I always consider myself younger, but I'm older now, is the younger generation has, their eyes are more open. They're living in a different world than where I grew up in professionally. And so they're open, right? They're so open, and they taught me that, I can be more open and just grow beyond where I am today a lot faster than I would have anticipated. So when I saw them pitching, we had one team pitch $130 million deal, which would have never been in my horizon today. It opened me up to thinking that why not? Why isn't it? And who can we partner with or collaborate with, to accomplish that? So it was really just thinking bigger and reaching further was one lesson. The second lesson was that not to sit back and wait for other people to do things. So I had this idea a couple of years ago, and I told everybody, we should do this, you should do that. And knowing that no one else could really bring it to life, the vision that I had, because they had experienced what I had experienced, and using my experiences to help other people is really valuable. So that servant leadership that's, within me, I need to move it forward more often.
Tracy, you had a lot of great competitors for this competition, but what was it about Team Datcher's presentation and structure that you said, this is the one we're going to go with?
Well, so I wasn't a judge. So we left that to.
All right, smart.
But I will say that, so I purposely did not, judge, and I left it to my industry leaders and investors to pick the winner. But I did create the judging criteria. But what I will say, I watched all the 17 initial presentations, and I did have Dasher in the number one seed, during the prelims. And what it was that they had really thought through all aspects of the deal, and their financials were strong. They brought a deal that had a reasonable basis, and they also brought money to the capital stack. So that was very attractive in the way in which they did it, and the knowledge that they had about the additional funds to the capital stack. So that was in the way of opportunity zone, historical tax credits, and other grants that were being offered in the area. They had researched those and put those into the capital stack. So their deal became, not only was it fun and interesting, and they had thought about the customer in every way, but that they had a solid financial plan to close on the particular deal. And they understood all of those aspects of the capital stack very well. In fact, one judge tried to challenge them on historical tax credits. And so when she was challenging them, I was a little nervous. I said, wow, she's being so hard. They're just students, but they clapped back all the details and pointed appendix this, appendix that, and da-da-da-da-da. And we've talked to such and such and such and such. And so she kind of sat back and said, oh, okay.
That is so great, Kristen. So that is amazing. I almost got tears in my eyes because I know what goes into this, and I know what a great opportunity this is for you. But the night before you guys presented, what did that look like for you? You were up till 4 o'clock in the morning, or did you go to sleep at 8 o'clock prepared, or did you not sleep at all? What did that look like? Were you guys frantically texting each other? What did that look like?
Well, it started when we went through our run through the day before. And we put our slides up on the screen, and we realized that all of the fonts and the text were not aligned to the presentation screen. So that alone, before we even could get to the presentation, already threw some trouble at us. But once we got past that, I mean, we felt confident, the whole time since the prelims in our deal and our pitch. And so even when we got to the final round, I mean, we definitely had run through our presentation multiple times. We were confident even then. And we ran through it about 2 or 3 more times, and we went to sleep around 12, so not too late.
And even when you ran through it the second or third time, I'm sure you found things. I remember doing a deal. I had to fly from New York to Orlando, and it was I already was running the hotel as the vice president. But we were presenting the owners this big financial plan, cash flow, the whole 9 yards. And I'm on the plane with my general manager, my CFO, and me. And I get off the plane. We go to the Marriott. We're having a drink and dinner. And I said, okay, guys, let's go through the cash flows one more time. They're like, we're done. We did this when we approved it. You approved it yesterday morning. I said, yeah, but you guys made some changes and then printed it. So I just want to go through every single piece of paper, make sure it's in the right order, make sure those changes are there. It's done, Anthony. It's 11 o'clock. We have to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, let's do it.
Right.
So we go through it in the lobby. And of course, there were problems. So we had to go find a Kinko somewhere in the middle of wherever the hell we were. And we found it. We were up till 4 o'clock in the morning, okay? Getting everything right, perfect, done. So I go back to my room, and what do? I literally have everything sprawled out on my bed, and I'm on my hands and knees, literally going through everything. I fall asleep. The meeting's at 8 o'clock. I'm the only person that didn't make the meeting. Because I wanted to be extra prepared, and I was 2 hours late for my own meeting. But my CFO and general manager had the right numbers. So yeah, it's even when you're experienced, and even when you're doing it for as long as we're doing it, it never gets easy. And if you're always a detailed person, that will never leave you. So congratulations.
And Kristen, just in case you need to know, Kinko's was what existed before FedEx bought them and it turned them into the FedEx stores.
You know what's interesting? That's how old I am. But I'll tell you something, and it wasn't Marriott because I don't want to bash Marriott. It was a different brand, but they wouldn't open their business center for us. And I just please open it. It's an emergency. They wouldn't open it for us. Yeah, I never used that brand again. No, so absolutely amazing, and we need to do more of this. And people like we just need to make this more accessible because it's great that listen. You're going to Cornell. I mean, that your ticket is punched if you do well. You're going places. Cornell, master's degree, finance. That's great. But to have this practical experience and to be able, when I was the asset manager at Tishman, I had Cornell graduates reporting into me. And they had a lot of theory, and they were smart kids. So that's more than I'll ever be. But to have somebody that was actually in front of people pitching and actually winning a competition, it just elevates you among your peers because that's real world. I mean, to clap back at somebody talking about historic tax credits, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because a lot of people would kind of like just look like this and go, I don't know. But I would love to be in that room.
Right, though. That's what the great thing was. And I remember Kristen's face specifically because she just sat there like, okay. Commentary. And then when it was her turn to talk, it was like, I will never forget that. I will never forget that. I was sitting right here in the same room going through that. Right?
Well, this is awesome. I am all smiles. And I got to tell you, I started off today so crabby, but you guys have made that all go away. I love to see stuff like this. What a positive story. I wish you so much success, Kristen. Tracy, what a great idea. We're running out of time, so I need to get some final thoughts from you before we let you go. Kristen, any final thoughts from you?
Just, of course, thanking Tracy for the wonderful opportunity. I mean, myself as well as my teammates, Lyra Covington and Joanne Angbazo, definitely reiterate the same thoughts. Like you said, it's definitely a great experience. We're looking forward to the process. And hopefully, this isn't the last time you'll hear from us.
And the other thing I ask is make sure when you get in the position that Tracy's in, you do the same thing. You play it forward.
Yeah, of course.
And when you do start getting those hotels, ask Anthony to run them. I think you guys will make a great team. Tracy, any final thoughts from you as well? And then tell us how we could learn more at She Has a Deal. And also go check out novacancynews.com where we've got all of the information on the competition there as well. Tracy?
Yes, I'd like to just thank you for having us on the show and thank everyone who has supported us and will support us in 2021. This is just the beginning, and just want to, just applaud all the women who participated in the competition. You guys are all brilliant. You're bright. You have an outstanding future ahead of you. As I was watching, I told you this before, that I knew that, even with COVID and the challenges with my hotels, that we were going to have a bright future because I was going to hire every single one of them to do something, regardless of what it might be, hospitality or not, but that every single one of them are capable of being one of the top hotel owners or developers in our industry, 5-10 years from now. So I do encourage anyone who wants to learn to go to shehasadeal.com and connect with us.
I'm glad you took me off camera, David, our producer, because I literally started like tearing up because I'm so happy for you and so emotional to see, you fight through it and you win and then stand up for yourself and make sure you don't bow down to people that are maybe trying to put you on the spot, which is really going to be in every meeting you go to because that's their money. So they're going to push, right? So congratulations, Tracy. The only thing I ask you is I would love to be a judge next year. So please remember me.
Absolutely.
Your text or your number in the private chat so I have it. And Kristen, I wish you all the luck. And I know you were thinking when she said in 5 or 10 years, and I know the first thought that you had said it's going to be closer to 2 or 3 years, right?
That's right. That's
right. Right?
An absolute honor and a pleasure.
Thank you so much, ladies. We really appreciate you. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Wow. Again, another great experience. And I got to tell you, Anthony, I know you're the one who's usually doing most of the crying over here, but I am actually tearing up today. I think this was so awesome. This is what this is all about, right? empowering people, giving them the pathways to success. And I love that they came on the show to share their story today.
You know, and it's one way, a very positive way to ensure that in 10 years, the C-suite doesn't just look like me, right? That the C-suite, it's diverse, woman, color, everyone gets to sit in the C-suite and everybody gets to be an owner. And it just warms my heart. And Tracy, just an amazing thing. And man, I would not want to be on the other end of a negotiation table with Kristen or Tracy.
I know. Yeah, you don't need any clapping back at you. That's for sure. All right, I want to let everybody.
You know what? Let's put that in perspective for a second, because I think the word clap back, what they did was stand up for themselves, but they had the information. When people get upset or people get loud, it's because they don't have the information. When you have the information and you're prepared, I've been in those meetings where I got loud because I didn't have the information, and then I learned I'm so prepared. Kristen, the future is bright. Yes, Howard. And Howard and I know that Nickelodeon deal real well because Howard brought us into it. And it was just so important that people understand how to prepare for a meeting like that, because when you're not prepared, you feel like people are attacking you. Right. When you're prepared, you know, you have nothing to worry about. And when you're really prepared and you don't have the answer, you're like, you know what? I should have had that answer. I don't. I feel bad that I don't, but I don't, and I'll get it for you. And before the end of the meeting or right after the end of the meeting, you get that information. So that information and that preparation gets you really prepared to really handle anything, even when people ask you questions you don't know the answer to.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's important to get involved in these things. It makes you a better professional. It's not about winning the competition, although that's great, but it really is about going through the process and learning. And I'm sure that all 17 teams, they're much better off right now and well armed to get and deal themselves.
And I just want to say, because I haven't spoken to my friend Howard Smith in a long time, but I will tell you that he is one of the best, if not the best executive I've ever been around in my career. Just absolutely fantastic. No matter how much stress was around, he always made everybody feel comfortable. I still do owe him for asking me to go to play with the Harlem Globetrotters at the Barclays Center, and then me being made fun of because I missed 9 free throws in a row, and the entire audience was booing me. And then at the end, they gave me a standing ovation, and I still got the video. So thank you. I still have my Harlem Globetrotters basketball. Thank you.
That's awesome. And I do want to let everybody know that I am not at the Saranac Lake Waterfront Lodge today. Let me put that up here on that. Sorry, let me put that up on the camera. Dave, could you put it up on single shot? There we go. That hotel is opening up, I believe, this week in upstate New York.
Oh, really? Yeah, where?
On Saranac, off Saranac Lake. So I just saw some information on it. I thought it might be fun, maybe for us to get up there at some point.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So final thoughts, Anthony. Wrapping up today.
I made a good globetrotter. Howard said.
Yeah, you're the new curly Joe, right?
Yeah. What's so funny is I made sure I came out. I played on the other side of the other team against the Globetrotters, and I made sure I came out with the tallest guy on the team. So I came out last, and the guy was like 7'3", and I looked ridiculous. I looked absolutely ridiculous. My whole family was in the crowd, and Howard made a dream come true because I love the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, it must be. I wonder what it's like to play on the Washington Generals and be forced to lose every single game.
It's not the Washington Generals anymore.
It's not. Sorry,
they changed it. They changed it. I think I think when Howard was president of Harlem Globetrotters, I think he changed it. But I was really inspired today, and really, I'm an emotional guy, but I was really inspired, and I love to see bright young people get an opportunity, because even when you're bright and you're young and you're full of energy, you don't always get an opportunity to show what you're made of. And in that moment, in that room where the young lady had to really hold herself together and tell them about the tax credits and why they can get the tax credits, like that's a moment that's going to stay with her and is going to help her and propel her in her career. And usually you don't get those opportunities for 10, 15 years into your career. I know I didn't have opportunities like that until 20, 25 years into my career, and I should have been more prepared than I was when I was in those opportunities. So I got real emotional because I just know what a great opportunity it is. So Take us out, brother.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter. Text the word hotel to 66866 for more of our great content coming into your email box every Sunday night. Anthony, Hospitality Success, you're back on track. You're doing shows every Thursday. What can we expect this week?
Thursday, 3 o'clock, Hospitality Success. We will teach you how to take your hotel, either branded or non-branded. Hospitality Success, 3 o'clock. Every Thursday, we're doing behind the scenes of Hotel Impossible.
Awesome. It's so much fun. I highly recommend all of you go there. All right, remember, guys, vote tomorrow if you haven't already. You got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
see you all